Hey everybody, welcome to the Abroaders Travel Podcast, your weekly meetup with thousands of entrepreneurs, hustlers, creators, nomads, ninjas, wanderers, and world changers, all seeking to build the skills and connections to live a life without borders. If you want to learn more about what we do or download our entire podcast archive, check out the website, abroaders.com.
Happy Wednesday morning. I'm AJ Dunn alongside Erik Paquette, and today we're going to be talking about how to plan and execute your first credit card churn. Today's episode can be found at abroaders.com/churning. All right, so this is our first cross-continental episode. I'm in Detroit right now, having a great time, but the weather is brutal. It's so cold. It is 5 degrees for all you Americans, and for everyone else that's doing the Celsius thing, it is minus 15. That's not a wind chill. That is the actual temperature. I'm a bit envious of Erik's weather in Floripa, but I've gotten a lot of work done meeting with clients we're building websites for and doing digital media consulting. So enough about the cold weather. Erik, how is Brazil? How's the weather? What's Florianopolis like? The beach, Beautiful. The girls, everything?
Absolutely been awesome here. Florianopolis is a little island that's sort of connected to the coast of the main coast of Brazil. And weather is really hot. I'm kind of regretting that I had to turn off this fan here to get the audio quality. So I'm going to be dripping in sweat here. It's probably about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, so low 30s in Celsius off the top of my head. Still working on that conversion. So, but yeah, Florianopolis has been great. Yesterday, I actually got to meet with a really cool abroader named Scott Young. This guy spoke at TEDx and gave a talk on education, which is really cool. So we'll link over to that TED Talk and his blog. Right now, he's on a mission to learn 4 different languages in less than a year. So he's doing a trip from, I believe he started in Spain. Now he's in Florianopolis for 3 months, and then he's off to China next. And I think France is going to be his last stop. So I was just absolutely blown away. I mean, we had an hour and a half conversation in Portuguese, and he's really good at it for being here for 2 months. So the guy also took himself a course at MIT just on his computer and passed all the classes to get a computer science bachelorette. So probably a really good person to check out. I think his blog has some really cool content. So
man, that's a pretty brutal transition, starting off with a couple romance languages, then hopping right into Mandarin Chinese, then jumping back to French. That's
yeah, he was telling me actually that the issue that's been the biggest problem, his travel companion and co-adventurer on the idea of learning these 4 languages is from India, and it's been a nightmare to get visas for them. So he was just telling me that they're just waiting on what's going to happen with the Chinese embassy to get their visas for over there, and that Brazil was a huge pain too for his Indian friend. So
oh man,
props to them, man. He didn't speak a word of English to me. He didn't say a single thing in English the whole time we were hanging out. So I'm pretty impressed. It's something we're going to love to feature in the future for you guys. We know a lot of people that are doing language hacking and really getting a lot of progress on how to learn new languages.
That takes a lot of discipline to not resort to the native tongue, man. All right, dude, should we swing into this credit card churning stuff? Should we get it going?
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to start you guys off. So the goal of credit card churning is to acquire as many frequent flyer miles as possible, and you're going to use those miles to purchase thousands of dollars worth of airfare. Unfortunately, the biggest opportunities to earn free travel by credit card churning are only available for folks in the U.S. banking system. So if you don't have a social security number, it's going to be a bit harder to realize the full potential of travel hacking. So for you, Euros, Aussies, not much going on right now. We are looking into some possible things we can do to get some miles over there, get the miles overseas.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but the banks are just a lot more irresponsible and greedy in the U.S. than they are everywhere else. So there are some good opportunities for Canada, and we're going to try and feature it as much as we can. But right now, the big ones are still stuck in the U.S. Before we get too far on this travel hacking stuff and into the credit card churning, I want to take a quick second and just thank all of you listeners out there for the support. We've had a huge first week. This is our second regularly scheduled release on Wednesday. We came out with 3 episodes last week, and we've been getting a ton of emails, ton of questions and feedback, and a really solid number of new students checking out the Travel Hacking Bootcamp. So we had 5 new 5-star reviews on iTunes, AJ. How about that?
Yeah, man. So we're going to read a few off. The first one is titled, A Must Listen for All Travelers. This is by Kyle Kunkel. Thanks, Kyle Kunkel. And he says, fantastic podcast, extremely informative and very easy to follow along. I am now motivated and will be using this to travel to Southeast Asia in the spring. Thank you. Okay, that is pretty cool, man. You want to get the next one?
Yeah,
from,
really cool. Ryan Fitz came in, travel inspiration, great content and trips to make travel abroad easier. I'm more motivated to travel than ever.
Next one is from Mike Fack. Informative and practical. He says, I've been searching for a travel hacking podcast for years. This is solid info and practical, actionable tips to help make my travel more enjoyable. Looking forward to learning more about this topic with Abroaders. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks to everybody. It's a 5-star review is an awesome way to support the show. Helps us get up on that front page so that more people can find us and we can share this awesome information with as many people as possible. You can also check in and leave us an audio message right from the show notes page. Again, this episode is at abroaders.com/churning. We're going to have a phone number right there on the site where you can call and leave us a voicemail, and we'll read a couple of them off on future shows as well if you have questions and stuff. All right, so to recap our last episode, banks are offering huge bonuses of frequent flyer miles to get you to sign up for a new credit card. Credit card churning is a way to take all the money that the banks are willing to invest and to acquire you as a customer and use it for yourself to travel anywhere in the world. And so this stage of the process is where a lot of people end up getting stuck. It's easy to check your credit and maybe go to school on what banks are there offering bonuses, but a lot of people stop short of actually submitting a credit card application. And so we want to take the fear and uncertainty out of that process for you. We're going to answer some of the most common questions about credit card churning. First of all, many people come to us and say, how many cards should I apply for and which ones? So let's jump into the most important factors to consider here. So the most important factor to consider is your ability to meet the minimum spending requirement for all the cards in a given round of applications. The whole point is to get the bonus. And if you don't spend the money that the bank requires to earn that bonus, you're not going to qualify and it's all going to go to waste.
Yeah, precisely. So getting into that, let's take a minute to look at the spending requirements. So banks want to make sure you're not just signing up to get the points, which, that's what we're doing, but you can't let the banks know that. So in the good old days of travel hacking, banks would award bonus miles after you made your first purchase on the credit card. And we've actually got an anecdote of our friend at Dowsa who bought a thing of Tic Tacs for like 65 cents and flew to South America. But now there's spending requirements. Normally it's between $2,000 to $5,000 before you can earn your miles. So when you're planning a churn, you need to know how you can meet those spending requirements to get that lucrative bonus. That's essentially the whole point of credit card churning.
The next factor you need to consider is your credit. So if you haven't already, check out our podcast episode number 3 on understanding and monitoring your credit. New entrants to credit card churning with a weaker credit or just a short history should probably start with a small churn. There's no huge rush with this, and the best way to get into it is to just go slowly but surely and make sure that you're able to keep track of everything and actually earn those big bonuses. So if you've never done a churn and you don't have a really long credit history, you should probably start with 1 or 2 cards and then build up gradually. If you do have a longer history, maybe you got credit cards when you were relatively young or you're a little bit older, you can definitely get away with a little bit more aggressive churning strategy. So if you diversify across multiple lenders and mix in business and personal cards, it's possible to get approved for as many as 4 or 5 cards in a single churn. I know some of the most hardcore Abroaders members that we've talked to are doing that on a rotating basis of applying 3 or 4 times a year. So it's definitely possible, but we want to keep it simple for you guys that are just getting into it. So let's talk about diversifying lenders and take it from there.
Yeah. So there's a handful of reasons that you want to diversify lenders, and one of the main ones is these different lenders have different partnerships with different airlines that offer different miles. So there's certain cards that are good to fly to Europe, certain cards that are good to fly to Asia, and so on. There's some other reasons too, as far as just looking like an at-risk credit card user. So you should avoid applying for more than 2 cards at a time from a single lender. If you try to open up 4 new accounts with Chase, for example, they're likely to see you as a big risk. So instead, try to apply for a card from each of the big banks. And another important strategy is to mix in business and personal card applications in a single churn. Banks often have entirely different divisions for handling each type of account, and often the business side doesn't take your personal credit card application into consideration. So you're kind of flying under the radar where they pretty much think you're just applying for one card because those two divisions don't really communicate as well with each other.
That's a great point, and it actually ties in really well to the next component as well, which is about timing. It's really best to apply for all the cards in the same day. And the reason for that is that the credit inquiries get reported to the credit bureaus like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, but they only do that at the end of the business day. And so if you make all your applications at once, Citibank won't see that you're applying for credit from Chase and Amex and Bank of America on the same day. So in other words, you just do it all in one bulk, and then each of those banks is going to report to the credit agency at the end of the day, 5 o'clock Eastern or whatever. They're going to send out that notification. But all the other banks won't see your other applications that are on that same day. So it's a really good reason to not jump in and do one and then get lazy and then do the next one on Tuesday, the next one on Wednesday, the next one on Thursday, because then by the time you get to Thursday, they will see credit applications every day for 4 days in a row, and they're going to look at it and say you're
a little bit of suspicion arises from that. Why does this person need all these credit cards? And the banks are pretty smart. So getting back to that, talking about applying for multiple cards. So if you're going to do double applications with a single lender, the best strategy is to go for that business card and then that personal card. Like we said, it's not a hard requirement, but if you do need to call that reconsideration line for manual approval, that'll also make it easier. And if you diversify and follow the scheduling rules above, you can typically get away with a new round of applications every 90 to 120 days. So we're talking about doing rounds of churning every 3 to 4 months or so.
Exactly. And that's also a great reason why you don't have to go overboard on the first one and go after 4 or 5 cards. If you just get 1 or 2 the first time, by the time you get those points and book your first trip, it's already going to be 90 or 120 days later, and you'll be able to go for that next round of applications. So take your time, go nice and easy. The next thing I want to cover is what you should do with old cards. We get asked about this all the time. Now, today's episode is focused on people making their first credit card churn, but a lot of the more experienced people are saying, well, I've been doing this for a while, and now I've got a whole bunch of existing accounts that are already open. And some of them have annual fees, so what should I do with those open accounts? The short answer is you should always keep your credit card accounts open unless you have a good reason for closing them. The main reason is that older accounts have a really good positive impact on your credit score because they help your average length of credit history. So the older and longer your accounts have been in existence, the more banks feel comfortable with extending new credit because they know you've handled that responsibly over a long period of time. You can also use your existing accounts as leverage when you're opening new ones. So let's say you've got an old account with Chase that you've had for a few years, and you decide to apply for one of their new cards that's offering a 50,000 point bonus. If they give you a denial with the automated system, you're going to be able to call up the reconsideration, and a lot of times the agent would be willing to move some of your credit line from the old account over to the new account to let you open that new account and get the bonus. Or in other cases, they might close the old account and open the new account in its place. And so if you go in there and proactively cancel accounts before you're ready for your next churn, you're not going to have that leverage in the future. So it's something to really keep in mind. Obviously, the annual fees can be a big deal for some people. If you keep all those rewards cards open, it does make travel hacking on the whole a little bit more expensive. It's still a great investment, and it's a really good return on investment, even if you're paying annual fees on some cards. But I know some of you guys out there are cash strapped. You're, maybe bootstrapping for startups or you're college students, and you really just don't have a couple $100s a year to pay in annual fees. So if that comes up, what you need to do is call the credit card company and tell them that you are going to close your account or you would like to cancel your card. You have to use those words.
What's the magic word? Yeah, the magic words, right? Cancel, right?
Right, and you'll know that you did it correctly when they say, well, hold on, I've got somebody I need to transfer you to that can talk to you about closing your account. And what they're doing is that the frontline people that answer the phones don't have the authority to give you free stuff in the same way that the retention department does. And so all these companies, remember, they're spending $500 every time they want to get you to sign up for a new card. Every new customer costs them a bunch of money, and so they don't want to lose you. And so if you say, hey, I'm calling to close my account, it's just not working out for me anymore, the retention department will say, hey, maybe we can waive that annual fee for you this year. Would you stay around if you do that? Or sometimes they'll say, we'll give you an extra 10,000 points if you keep your account open. So that's a really good way to get something out of it. Most of the time when I call the retention people and threaten to close a card, I don't end up closing it because they offer me either a free credit or a bunch of points. And so that makes it possible. Remember, you don't want to close the card because the longer it stays open, the better it is for your credit. So definitely check that out. Give it a shot.
Yeah, no, that's man, that's all really good stuff. That magic word cancel, or excuse me, the magic word cancel, and it says how much money these guys are making when they have a whole department just to retaining people that say the word cancel. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about how many cards you should apply for. We talked about diversifying. You're probably wondering, how do you find the best cards to do travel hacking with? And it's really confusing because every credit card offer says it's the best one for you, and they give you all of these reasons. So the best credit card bonuses, they're always changing, whether it be from different banks or different specific cards. And the bonuses are also time sensitive. So you got to make sure that you find these cards while the offer is still valid. To take a look at the best current card offers, check out abroaders.com/cards. We'll let you know what cards are the best, and we'll give you reasons why. So certain cards are better for traveling to different geographies of the world. So we will give you the reasons why we think they're good cards. And also keep in mind that the official bank's website is not just the only place to find the best offer. There are often better links offering more points or smaller spending requirements than you can find across the World Wide Web. So don't just go to our site and see that this Chase Sapphire card you should sign up for and go to Chase's website. Use the actual links that we have there. Currently, we're not making any money on referrals or anything like that. We just want to make sure you guys use the right link to get the maximum offer with the minimum spending requirement.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And just for total disclosure on how we're doing this, there's a bunch of communities that I've come across since I started travel hacking that have really good information on which cards are available now, what you need to know about making the application. And so what I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to be scouring those sites and pulling off the best information. It is true a lot of them are actually referrals or affiliate links for other people. We don't have any affiliate links right now. And so often really what we're going to be doing is just curating that information and putting the best available links out there that are available on the web right now for you guys. So check that out. Again, abroaders.com/cards is where you can find current offers.
Okay. All right, man. You want to dive into the spending requirement stuff and some tricks around, some of those, the people might hear about, oh, you need to spend $5,000 to get the points. And they might say, well, it's going to take me a while to spend $5,000, but there are some tricks. So get us going on that, Erik.
Yeah, so there's two components here that I want to cover. First of all is tracking. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, for your early on churns, your first couple tries at this, you want to probably keep the spending requirements within your regular spending limits. So in other words, you don't want to bite off more than you can chew the first time, because if you don't hit the requirement, you're not getting the points. And that's just very plain and simple. The credit cards make a lot of money off of that too. So try and plan accordingly to be able to spend the money. But if you're not having a really big monthly spend and you're not sure if you're going to be able to spend, say, $3,000 in 3 months, there are some tricks that are out. One of the big options out there is Amazon payments, which is really a lot like PayPal, except that Amazon lets you spend up to $1,000 a month using a credit card without paying any fee. And so the way to execute this, the one thing you can't do is you can't send money to a friend and have the friend send money back to you directly, because that will raise a flag. They'll just see that you're just swapping money back and forth and making Amazon pay the credit card processing fees, and they don't like that. But if you need to spend that $1,000 on a card, you could say send it to your best friend and have your friend write you a check or give you cash or whatever, because your friend will be able to pull that money right out of their Amazon account and deposit it in a bank account of their own so that they can pay you back that money. So Amazon's a great tool. The other thing that you can do is buy gift cards. So if you're just about to hit the spending requirement, but you're running out of time, you can go to like your local grocery store or gas station and buy like $100 or $500 or $50 Visa gift card. And then use that gift card to spend the money slowly but surely over time. Once you buy it at the grocery store, it's going to put that value on in spend on your credit card, and you'll have met the requirement, and then you can take your time and slowly spend down that gift card over the next few months. So those are the basic ones. We're going to come out with another episode that really gets into the deep details about how this works, but for now, either keep it conservative and make sure you can spend the money without too much outside help, or check out our travel hacking bootcamp and we'll give you one-on-one help and walk you through how you can do this manufactured spend. The other part of manufactured spend that's really important, guys, is to make sure that you're keeping track. So on the show notes page today, I'm going to post a template for a Google document that I use to track every single credit card that I have active. and you can use it to track your spending, whether you've hit your requirement, and what the deadline is for that spending requirement. So I'm going to share that template. You can make a copy and use it for your own information, save it privately. So that's going to be available. And also there'll be a credit card contact record. So every time you call the credit card company, you should keep a record of just the date and time. And so the sheet's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to post those as resources because it's really, really helpful to have that record. If you call and say, hey, when's my spend due to get the bonus, they're going to give you a specific date. If you know when you called and asked that question, you can always use that as leverage if for some reason something goes wrong and you don't get your bonus.
No, man, that's a really good point. Okay, so we've kind of talked about there's these cards that give these huge bonuses. You need to be methodical about how you go about applying for them, not applying for too many, diversifying lenders. So if for whatever reason your application is not approved, that's okay. You can always call the credit card company's the reconsideration line, and you can speak with an agent. It's a pretty simple process. Obviously, you're going to want to be very polite because this is a stage where there's no computer or system making a definitive decision based on some algorithm. The agent is going to typically ask you a few questions about current cards you have or any possible blemishes on your credit report from the past. Just explain your situation, obviously in a manner that exudes confidence, and there's a really good chance that they will manually approve you. You also want to give them a compelling reason why you want this particular card. I want the huge sign-up bonus. That is not what they're looking for. That is not a good answer. Try something along the lines of, I travel a lot and I've realized it's a shame that I'm not earning these miles here and there for my monthly spend. This card suits my lifestyle. I like to travel. Eric's got some other more calculated.
They love telling you that, the card's going to suit your lifestyle. If you spend as much time looking at credit card offers and ads as I do, it's so funny. They project this idea that everybody's got a lifestyle that just matches the card in their wallet. So it's pretty funny marketing stuff. But another couple of things that you can say, if they ask you why you want the card, bonus categories are a big one. We're going to try and include that information on the page with card recommendations. But when you look at the link and actually go to apply for the card, take a note of what the credit card company says are the benefits of that card. Just make a little bullet pointed list, write it down, because when you call Reconsideration, if the particular card you applied for offers double points at restaurants and travel, when they ask, why do you want this card? You say, you know what? I've been spending a ton of money traveling and at restaurants this year. And I just realized that my card from fill in the blank, whatever competitor company, so to be like my card from Citibank is just not giving me the points that I need for all those purchases. And your card, Chase, gives me double points on that. So I want to switch my spending over to you. They're going to eat that up. The next thing is a lot of cards that don't have a foreign transaction fee. So many cards have 3% that they tack on every time you make a transaction outside the U.S. And so if you say, I've been out of the country a lot this year and I'm getting killed with this 3% foreign transaction fee on my current card, I noticed that your card has no foreign transaction fees. That's why I want this. So there's always information like that. Just spend 2 minutes looking up the benefits of the card you're applying to and give them that answer. And that will often really get the reconsideration agents pretty excited to approve you for the card.
No, man, that's really good stuff. Man, you got anything else? I feel like we hit it pretty well. We went from, the whole concept of you got to get the sign-up bonuses, which is based on you got to make the minimum spend. You want to get approved for these cards and not, red flag yourself by applying for a bunch of cards over, a week or so. You got to do it all on the same day. Anything off the top of your head that you want to add?
No, just really looking forward to feedback. I know that this is a spot where people do get hung up sometimes. A lot of my friends that I've helped through travel hacking, the actually clicking apply button is a little bit harder than just thinking about it in the abstract. So we want you guys to do this. Obviously, read the offers, take a close look at what you're signing up for while you're doing it. But this is not supposed to be scary. This is something that is a really good way to leverage your credit, and we want to hear your concerns. So if you got questions, send us feedback through the website, shoot us an email. We'd love to answer those and try and help you guys out. The only other thing I think we're missing is the iJow. Got to get that international job.
One thing, let me cut you off here real quick. For any folks that found this informative, please hop into iTunes, give us that 5-star review. And hey, you know what? If you didn't like it, give us 1 star and tell us why. Whatever. Just, the more feedback we can get, the better. We're confident we're putting out a good product, but hop in there and let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah. Very good. Actually, if you're going to give us a 1-star, just send us an email and we'll talk you out of it.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah.
All right, so I've been really wanting to post this international jam for a long time. I actually met this guy a couple of years ago in Rio de Janeiro. His name is Tony Mariano, and his co-worker there is Nakeli Peak. It's a joint track, and it's a remix of House of the Rising Sun. If any of you abroaders out here know how to get a hold of these dudes, I would love to check in with them again. The whole CD is absolutely dominant, and if I can find a link to it, I'm going to link it up on our site, but they're pretty small time. It's hard to get a hold of, so we're going to play you out with this. I hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you next week, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday morning. Thanks a lot.
See you, folks.
Ai, menina dos olhos castanhos e a pele morena me deixa impressionada, abala o meu sistema. Gostosa é pouco, ela é cheirosa, fogosa, uma pérola preciosa. Dia...
Hey, brothers, don't be shy. The best part of our day is connecting with you. Send your show feedback, comments, or questions to Erik or AJ@abroaders.com. You can also leave us an audio note right on the website and maybe even get yourself featured on the next episode of the Abroaders podcast.
E ouvindo som, o meu coração eu sinto bater mais forte quando garro seu cabelo e beijo no seu cangote. Sorte, sorte, sorte mesmo é ter você na minha vida. Eu não vejo trevas escuras, só vejo noites floridas. Bem-vinda, minha linda, sinta-se à vontade. Fique comigo e da corrida passa a